Hey everybody, George Klippel from LiveView, and welcome to Stay Connected, our show that we do with customers using LiveView in new and unique ways. And today I would like to welcome Adam Kaplan from Ask Media Productions. Adam, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get started and talking about your most recent production that you did with LiveView and this Remy workflow that we're going to dive into, if you could tell me a little bit about your background and a little bit more about Ask Media Productions and what you guys do.
I started in broadcast TV in high school and always loved it, and worked in NBC local O&O network stations and have a lot of live TV news type experience. And then I started my business in 2006 or 7, and we started a full production company and just worked our way up to doing more commercial production and music videos and more live event capture, like large festival type capture, video and photography. So we built a studio, we do live streams out of here, we do satellite media tours, we do a lot of Remy work using LiveView. We started using LiveView as a tool probably 3 years ago, and now it's a part of a lot of conversations, especially in a post-COVID world.
How did you come about LiveView? And you said you mentioned it about 3 years ago, picked it up. So what made you choose LiveView and go in that direction?
So I had a project come up. It was 5 cameras, all with drones. We had to stream them all. It was for a cruise ship leaving port for the first time. So the first thing I wanted to do was bring in LiveView, because I knew that was the best technology to be able to have 5 different drone ops pulling feeds from 3 miles radius of where the cruise ship was taking off. So we did that project, and it was a great success. We switched it all remotely. We had 5, I think we had 4 LU600s and we had an LU300. And we switched it all remotely. It was a 45-minute live stream, and it worked out great. And then after that, I just fell in love with it because it's plug and play. It works really well. The quality is there, and I wanted to keep using it. It's easier for me as a producer to be able to have a much smaller footprint on set and be able to just have, 3 or 4 people on set and then 3 or 4 people in the control room, instead of sourcing power and internet with static IPs in the middle of a park and bringing in a truck. It's a lot easier to be able to work with the LiveView technology in these environments.
Well, I'm glad you chose LiveView, and let's talk about this recent project that you did and why we're here today. It was called Octopuses Live, and you did it for Facebook. How did you pull that one off? I was amazed to see this show, and it was done using our at-home production workflow, or what people also refer to as Remy. Tell us a little bit about this show, how you picked it up, and talk a little bit about what you did and how you pulled it all together, because it was done out in California, right?
Yeah, it was done at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which is a beautiful facility that unfortunately I did not get to go out there this time due to COVID. But the initial talks were a few months ago, and they wanted to do this live stream at the aquarium. And it was like, how do we do it? So we started high and started with a truck, and, the way a normal live stream would be done. The host would be there. We'd have 3 or 4 cameras. Everything would be fibered to a truck, and then we would transmit it to Facebook. So as the talk started, COVID was always a big thing, and we always had to follow COVID protocols, not just for Facebook, but for the Monterey Bay Aquarium. So we just found a lot of restrictions. So with having a 25-person crew on set, so we downsized it to more of like a 15, 20-person crew, but still all on set with hardline into a remote setup in one of the offices there. and just logistically, it just wasn't making sense. COVID, we couldn't travel in our director and producer. Um, it just, everything with COVID just kept coming up and restrictions. And the third round, we ended up downsizing it to, which is not really downsizing. It's still the same scale of production with, I think I ended up having 23 people on this job. But we were able to do it now using live view, fully remote, with my footprint on site being 9 or 10 people.
What was the scope of the show? What did they really want you to deliver for them?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is they wanted to, there's a group called Octo Nation, which is the largest octopus fan club group on Facebook, and Facebook wanted to highlight that group. So Warren, who's our host, is the moderator and owner of Octo Nation Group, and he wanted to bring in he wanted to show a behind the scenes look of the feedings and really show a close up and personal octopus environment. The biggest thing was really just them being able to talk in real time and communicate and being able to see each other so it can look like they are in the same environment.
Yeah, so logistically, talk through how this setup was kind of put together then.
Sure. So we'll start at Monterey Bay Aquarium. I had 2 cameras there, 2 FS7s, each of them going to their own dedicated LU600. All of them on a hardline Ethernet connection. We had super fast fiber upload speeds there. So we use that to transmit those 2 cameras. Then over to Houston, Texas. Now we're in a different time zone. We had Warren in his living room. I had a small 6 or 7, I think I had a 6-person crew there. We put up an 8x green screen, had an FS7 feeding an LU600 on a fiber line as well. And that's how we brought him in. And then everything came into South Florida, Boynton Beach, into our central control room, into an LU2000, and we pulled 3 ports out of there and then switched everything with vMix. We also used an LU600 as our master transport to Facebook for the master one, and we had a backup using another encoder. So we really used a live view for every aspect of this production, and I don't think we would have been able to do it without live view.
So when I was watching the show, I noticed that you had in Monterey Bay, you had a camera on the host, and then you had, it seemed or looked like you had a camera that was getting some B-roll or roaming shots. Is that how the setup was for this particular program?
Yes. So we had one dedicated to the host. We had the host mic traveling through that camera. We also had the host audio running to the B-roll camera for backup redundancy in case we had any issues with the main cam. We wouldn't lose her audio. There were times where there was a little bit of a walk, like a 25 or 50-foot move from the front of the tank to the back of the exhibit, where the host had to climb up some stairs, and that's where she did one of the feedings. So we had to break the 2 apart at that point, and we just tethered the Ethernet to him up there, and then the B-roll camera always stayed in the front to really get that like close-up of the octopus from the front. So we always had a shot no matter what, even when the A cam was transferring from location to location, that B cam always had a live shot for us. Even with unplugging Ethernet when we did the move, we still never had any issues. And we were watching it on LU Central, and we never had any issues when he unplugged it and plugged it back in with losing signal at all throughout the entire broadcast.
Yeah, and what were some of the challenges that you faced when you were trying to do something like this? I mean, obviously you're working in multiple time zones, multiple different areas, which, our at-home production workflow really excels at, right? And you're sending everything back to Florida, and you've got multiple people working in your control room, switching and sending out, and doing graphics and everything else. So, what are some of the things and suggestions and that you might give to people that are embarking on these types of workflows?
I wouldn't start with a project like this. I would start with like plugging in a live view or two and streaming something local in your city um, before you fully get into something like this. The hardest thing was really scheduling times and figuring out in different time zones what time we're up online and doing rehearsals. That's more on the producing side. But as far as technically, I have a really good engineer who just understands equipment inside and out. He was the one switching the show. I have a really good engineer that was in Monterey Bay as well, who I trusted 100%, who knows live view inside and out. So it's just really like trusting the equipment and having really good techs who understand the technology that can troubleshoot on the fly if need be. Also do a rehearsal day. We did a full tech rehearsal the day before. So we did a full run through of the entire show to test out everything from getting the host and the scientists to speak, as well as testing all of our technology. And that enabled us to fix any audio issues we had with communication on day one. So by day two, we're ready to go and there's no issues.
Another thing that people ask about a lot is ROI, right? What's the return on investment for something like this? And when you first started going down this path, you're talking about a truck and sat time and everything else. And then, you scale things back. And in this case, it's because of COVID-19 and other reasons. But, when you first look at this and then you bring it into live viewing environment and you do a REMI or at-home production type of final deliverable, when you compare that to how you initially looked at this in scope and size, what kind of ROI does this kind of come out to be for a customer at the end of the day when you're looking at what it initially started at?
It's really this one still had as much resources, but we were able to cut down on a whole nother day of truck parking, truck travel, all the extra people we need with the truck, the extra utilities. So you might be shaving 25% off of your top end just by going fully remote.
And the same on the sat time and the windows and that, does that help a little bit too, or?
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to use live view as transmission, we didn't need to go down that route either. So, it's a lot cheaper to use an LU600 to transmit than bringing in a truck for transmission.
Great. And is there anything I didn't ask that you want to throw out there and make sure everybody's aware of?
No, we're excited to use the LU800 one day. We're waiting for the right project for that one.
Well, we can't wait for you to use it. It's an awesome tool. I mean, the only one on the market that can do multiple inputs into one source. And yeah, just take one unit out and do 4 inputs into it. That's going to save a lot of money and time as well, right? You'll love it.
I'm waiting for the right job too, because prior to that, we've done a lot of jobs where we needed 4 or 5 live views, and we totally could have hardlined to 1 in that environment. So that's definitely, I'm excited to hopefully use that in the upcoming months.
Well, great, Adam. I appreciate you taking time to be on Stay Connected, and we really appreciate what you did with this show. It looked amazing, and great job as always. And thanks for being on.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
Take care, and we'll see you next time on Stay Connected.